842, welcome back. At-home COVID tests are free once again. This is part of the Biden administration's efforts to help people stay prepared ahead of the cooler weather, and that's when COVID numbers, as well as flu and RSV cases, are expected to trend up.
Joined now by Dr. Jimmy Pruitt III. And Dr. Pruitt, let's start here. COVID, it never really left, but it's here and it's actually coming back. You were talking to us during the break. You're already seeing the numbers rise in terms of patients you're seeing.
Absolutely. We're getting to see a lot more of those patients coming into our emergency department. And I think one of the things that, as you guys mentioned, is the lack of testing, and definitely some things we need to do moving forward.
Is it because of the cooler weather, or is it because of the cooler weather that brings us inside and now we're all thrown into the same room together, breathing and coughing on one another? Why does it tend to happen like this year after year?
Absolutely. Again, one of the key things that we notice across the board is that cooler weather, again, allow people to come together, and we're just breathing again that same air that we mentioned, and then this virus is going to be spread that way. So again, the closer you are, the more you're coughing and breathing, sneezing, all those things are putting us at higher risk of transmitting that disease.
Dr. Pruitt, it seemed like people did a pretty good job when it came to getting the initial vaccine, but when it came time for the boosters, the national average is at 17%. North Carolina, we're at 15%. Do you think people just kind of got COVID fatigue and don't want to deal with it anymore, even though it's still here?
Absolutely. That's one of the key things that we've been able to see is that initially we were doing a great job of making it aware and people wanting to go and get that because there's a certain level of fear initially. We've definitely seen a decrease in the amount of patients that are getting tested for and the vaccines. And that's one of the key things we can do moving forward. And the CDC has placed those recommendations out.
All right, so let's talk about some of these recommendations. We know that you've got the immunocompromised folks, those that are older. Typically, those are the ones that need to go out and get the vaccination. But let's flip the question around. Who does not need to go out and get vaccinated?
The way the CDC recommendations are out there, again, only those that are less than 6 months are the ones that we have not got that approval for. So anyone 6 months and above, the CDC has actually made recommendations for them to receive a booster vaccination. And depending on your previous status of vaccination, there's additional recommendations.
As far as these at-home test kits, now they're free again, but I feel like we kind of got into a trend of if it says negative on there, I'm good to go back to work. Those test kits sometimes, even though you may be negative, you can still actually have COVID. Do you think people need to pay more attention to, hey, if you're sick, just stay home?
Absolutely. Again, we are recommending everyone that have these symptoms, again, to stay home until they can prove that. One of the key things we're noticing is that not everyone are going to test positive initially because it's not enough time and the viral load is not elevated enough to be detected. So that's one thing that may be different with these at-home tests versus some of the more sensitive tests that we have in a hospital.
I know a couple years ago when the vaccine first came out and then the boosters started rolling out, a lot of this was new to a lot of people, especially when we're talking COVID-19. When people got their boosters back then, maybe a couple years ago, I think a lot of people thought, same here, is that these were one and done shots. Don't have to get it the rest of your life, you're good to go. Is this similar to like a flu shot where every season you have to go get the latest booster vaccination?
Absolutely, because there's a different variant that's going to come along, similar to how we have with flu. So every year there may be a different vaccine that may be available, and we have to make sure we're protecting, again, these immunocompromised and elderly patients and all of us to prevent us from hospitalizations and getting severely sick. And that's what's going to happen with providing everyone the protection with these new variants that are out.
And you're talking about the new variants. What should people be on the lookout for? Because as you and Harper just kind of talked about, the COVID from 2019, 2020 isn't the same COVID that we're dealing with now. So what should people be on the lookout for?
Absolutely. The new variant that the CDC is recommending vaccinations against is going to be that XBB.1.5. So again, it's very complex and it's going to change very frequently. So that's the newest one that the vaccines and the CDC is recommending to protect against. But again, this is something that's going to be ever changing and something for us to look out for. And our teammates at the CDC and all throughout the world are making sure that we're providing the evidence that we need to move with this, similar to how we do with the flu vaccine.
Well, speaking of flu, that was my next question. Even though the COVID is stealing the spotlight for the most as we go into fall, we still have flu. We've got RSV. What's the latest news with those right now? Do you recommend getting all these shots together in harmony with one another? What's the recommendation there?
What we're doing right now is seeing those with the flu and the COVID vaccine. Most people are getting those right now together. So we're still going to be at an increased risk of these other disease states as well. So it's going to be certain to be protected against both of those. RSV is something that we've seen rise dramatically over the last few years. So we want to be protected against that as well. But I think the issue is that we have to make sure that these things be recommended by your primary care provider and making sure that we space these things out the way that they want them to.
Dr. Pruitt, all good information right there. We appreciate your time. Again, vaccines are available, recommended by the CDC. You go get them. Dr. Pruitt, thank you for your work.
Thank you.